car crashes, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis, Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts with the attorneys of Hollis, Wright.
I'd like to welcome you to the attorneys, and we are talking on this edition of the attorneys about crimes that occur on or around campus by college students where they're either victims or perpetrators of crime, as you would think they're called college crimes. You may not know a whole lot about that, but you will after this show. I'm Art Franklin, that's Josh Wright right there, and another Josh is joining us, Josh Sword is joining us as well, because this is, as students are starting to go back to school, this is an important topic to tackle.
Well, it is, and you know, first of all, I love having Josh on because Josh and I go way back. When Josh was coming out of the DA's office, we used to work on some cases together, but he comes by this issue of college crimes and how to manage those if you're a victim or if you are engaged in criminal conduct naturally, because he comes from the DA's office. So he's got that experience and then went out in private practice to kind of do this on his own. So first of all, glad to have you on.
Glad to be back.
Absolutely, and it's good to see you. All right, so first let's talk a little bit about your background. You came out and first of all, you went to Alabama, played football at Alabama under two separate administrations, right?
Right.
Who were they?
Coach Stallings for 3 years and then Coach DUIs for 2 years.
So that's roughly 94-ish on?
94, 98.
Okay. And then decided that your football career was done, right? And you were going to go get a real job.
Someone decided.
Yeah, that's right. So you go get a real career and you decide to be a lawyer, and then you start at the DA's office and then work your way out.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about just kind of what you do now and how you're doing this type of work.
Well, you know, being at the DA's office in Tuscaloosa is where my main office is. I also have an office in Greene County, Alabama. But spent about four years at the DA's office, obviously prosecuting criminal cases. Since then, got out, went with a good-sized firm, stayed with them about 2 years, and then started my own practice in 2009 and been practicing in Tuscaloosa ever since. A lot of my practice is mostly centered around criminal defense. We do a good bit of personal injury work. And just because of my location being there with the University of Alabama, obviously I see a lot of what I tend to call college crimes or characterize college crimes that you see with these students coming in and out of the university.
Well, and I've got two college students myself, so I hear about this kind of stuff too. How did you classify this? This is interesting. It's really stuff that a college kid can make a mistake and get involved in and need help.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to.
I call them college crimes, but it's not something really associated with being in college. Right. It's just something that we as criminal defense attorneys, or myself as, you know, being practicing in Tuscaloosa now for 20 years, have seen a lot of over those years. And you definitely see the trend. You know, we've got the Strip, we've got Temerson, just like a lot of other universities like Auburn, like Ole Miss, like Mississippi State. They have their areas that a lot of people like to go have fun, especially on Saturday nights after football games. And a lot of times we see certain types of charges, certain types of things that happen in between those good times. They're in those areas, and because I see so much of it, I just kind of label them all as college crimes. Yeah. Some of the things that I see a lot of, obviously, are minors in possession of alcohol, minors with fake IDs. You know, that's been going on forever and ever. And then every now and then you'll get something like a public intox or a disorderly conduct, and things that aren't necessarily serious in nature, but we definitely just see a lot of it.
What do you recommend from a timing perspective when you should get a criminal defense lawyer involved like yourself? I mean, think about this for a minute. The viewing audience is so many counties in Alabama. It covers multiple colleges. There are a lot of people sitting on their couch right now saying, well, I got a kid going to college, this fall, whether they're a freshman to a senior or, just going to go next year and going to spend time going through Rush, whatever. When is the right time to get a criminal defense lawyer involved when something like this happens? Because I got to think it's early and immediate. Yeah,
I mean, like you said, you've got kids in college right now, and parents are spending a lot of money sending these kids to these universities. And even in Alabama, we see a trend where some kids are even coming across the nation, come from California, coming from New York. and they're paying out-of-state tuition. I myself had a college tour here recently and got to see the dollars and cents spent on this opportunity and education for them to be successful. So obviously when something happens like this, a negative happens like this, it's always important to make it a priority and jump on it fast. And so I would think that a lot of times these things do happen on weekends. Most of my phone calls come from parents Monday morning. Yeah. Sometimes if they've got my personal cell phone number, it's happened Sunday night, but I hear about things pretty quick. So usually, especially during football season, Mondays and Tuesdays, the phones and the emails are going pretty fast.
Josh makes a good point too. I didn't mean to jump on you, but he makes a good point that most of these folks coming down to college are getting an education to go be successful in life. This can be a tremendous setback if you're not surrounded by the right person to help lead, guide, and direct you through the process.
Yeah, these are the legal minds here. I'm just like many of you at home who are watching and don't have the legal experience, but these guys do. But the first thing I think about when there is an issue on campus or around campus, there are various elements to that. So you've got the county or city police, but you also have the campus police as well. So you've got to work your way through a number of different agencies.
That's true, and that's one thing I tell parents about who I meet or who come to office, or I'll see when they're in town. Like we've got Bama Rush coming up here pretty soon, I think around August 12th, and then of course, when orientation comes in, especially the freshman parents who are coming in. Tuscaloosa is not, it's a big town, but it's not a large city. But for its size and the campus, we've got at least 4 different law enforcement agencies around any time, and so the law enforcement presence, which is good for safety, is heavy there in Tuscaloosa, and because of that, there is a lot of time these interactions. Another thing is, we raise our kids and train our kids for all the good things, hopefully, that are going to happen when they go on an experience like attending a college or a university. But it's sometimes when the negative things happen that people really don't know what to do. And so that's why I feel fortunate to make myself available there in Tuscaloosa. My office is less than a mile from the campus, from Denny Chimes. And so usually if there's a problem or an issue or something like this comes up, I'm able to get in touch with folks pretty quick.
Talk a little bit about qualifying for youthful offender, because a lot of kids that make a mistake, whether it's a minor in possession or a DUI or something else that happened, when they go to college and they make a bad decision, it's not a get out of jail free card, but it kind of is a pass for them to potentially apply for YO under certain circumstances where it's not going to go on their record. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Alabama's got the Youthful Offender Statute, and I think a lot of states have a similar one. I've dealt with some cases in Florida, and they have a version. It's a little different, but the main thing to talk about, and parents ask about it all the time because it makes them feel better, is obviously with Alabama, anything in a criminal charge that happened prior to your 21st birthday is eligible to be granted youthful offender status. And what that is when a court reaches into the case, if that status is granted, the case becomes sealed. And any outcome of that case, whether it be a dismissal or whether it be it's not really a conviction, it's deemed an adjudication, becomes sealed where that's not on public record. And that's a great benefit for young people who are in an environment that they weren't raised in. An environment, they're there, it's not like they're there visiting and they're there 24 hours a day, every day. And so to have something like that, because mistakes are probably going to happen, and to have a protection like that, I think is a great thing. Yeah. And a lot of people ask me, it's like, well, should I use it or should I not? Should I use my youthful offender or should I not? And I try to tell them it's not like a Willy Wonka golden ticket. Yeah. We're not all born with one youthful offender, and we got to decide when to use it. Right. Hopefully you only have one time. But a judge can grant that if the judge sees fit as many times as necessary up until the 21st birthday.
When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about kind of the process that a parent could expect for a child that's being represented in one of these circumstances, and kind of how that process works, and the importance of getting a lawyer like Josh involved.
All right, and we're talking college crimes, and this guy, you just can't not love the guy, right?
We could do 6 shows with him just telling us.
That'd be good. Definitely got a lot of stories.
The guy I'm talking about is Josh Soares there, right there, and we're talking college crimes on the attorneys. Also want to let you know that you can call right now and reach one of the attorneys from Hollis, Wright, and Clay. It is a free call. It is a confidential call. Nobody has to know what you're talking about. All you have to do is call 1-844-LAW-TALK. We'll take a break. We'll continue our discussion, college crimes, when we come back.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis, Wright, a personal injury law firm, and thank you for watching The Attorneys. We hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple: to provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free and off air. So if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury topics, call, email, or text us. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, or go to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us button. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us and watching The Attorneys.
The Attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you.
When we started the show 8 years ago, my hope was we would be able to do what we do best, which is to help people answer real-world legal-related issues they have in their life.
People oftentimes are confronting various legal issues and problems in their lives that range across the gamut of legal practice areas. Bankruptcy, criminal law, family law, just to name a few. And to be able to have a 30-minute platform or format to where we can just cover various legal topics once a week, that's obviously the primary focus of the show.
That we would be able to use the resources of the many lawyers we have at this law firm to create a plan that had a lasting impact that also gave back to the community at the same time. And I think we've done just that with The Attorneys. When someone drives drunk and they injure another, there are firms in Alabama ready to make sure they never do it again. Our attorneys are standing by right now to give you a free consultation. At Hollis Wright, your result matters.
Welcome back to The Attorneys. From time to time, you'll see some really good information on your screen. Make sure you pay attention to that. We put it up there so that it is a service to you to educate you and make you aware of a number of things happening. Also want to remind you to follow us on our social media channels, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and you can interact with Hollis, Wright, and Clay anytime. Today, though, we're interacting with Josh Sword, great personality, but more importantly, an attorney who's doing some great things.
Yeah, and what I wanted to talk about when we went to break, Josh, was just unpack a little bit about, like, you know, there are ticketable offenses and charges that one can have. What should a parent expect if their child has one of those issues? Like, how does that process generally work?
Yeah, that usually dictates different avenues from the start. You know, when I usually come in the office on Monday, you know, after a weekend, once school's in session and whatnot, you know, I usually get two different types of phone calls. And one of the phone calls is that someone's child, a student at the university, had been given a citation, and what I tend to call a ticketable offense. And a lot of times you see those for a minor in possession of alcohol, or someone was trying to use a fake ID to get into a bar, and those type things, you know, really more along the lines of violations. Mm-hmm. And so they'll call and say, hey, my child got a ticket. They got a ticket written to them for MIP or for minor in possession of alcohol or having a fake ID. What do we need to do? And in those situations, I usually just tell them, say, hey, send me a copy of the ticket. Let's get your child into my office because I'm right downtown. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm so close so they can get in there easy. And we'll go over the plans. They already have a court date and things of that nature. It's rather, for me, you know, it's a good situation because everybody's relaxed other than getting the citation itself. Mm-hmm. The other type of offenses that we deal with in this college crime setup, though, however, are kind of more serious in nature, or things like a public intox, or some type of disorderly conduct, or even a drug possession or paraphernalia possession. And those require an arrest, a formal arrest. And some of those can even require, such as a DUI, require a hold, a mandatory hold, whether it be 12 hours, 24 hours, something of that nature. And when you have parents that can't find their baby, it is a lot of phone calls coming. And so that makes it a real stressful situation. Unlike a ticketable offense where we can come in, get time, they're really needing me to step in and try to help, sometimes even locate their child. They don't know where the jail is. They didn't get that during orientation. How to get them out, bonding process, and then what to do when they get out. And then also, we start dealing with things with the university a little bit that we have to protect, and that's why, like we talked about youthful offender status, it's so important to get that as fast as you can. But that's usually how it comes in on Monday. So definitely a lot stressful when the child is at their home and they can see them on Life 360 instead of them pinging from the Tuscaloosa County Jail.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that I wanted you to kind of walk through is, if it is, let's not take the ticketable offense, which is probably something you're able just to work through with the municipal prosecutor or through the university. I'm assuming that there are abilities for you to kind of please some of these things down. If someone has one crime, charged, you've got an opportunity to work with the district attorney's office in order to try and plead some of this stuff down. That's still a negotiation you're doing daily?
Absolutely. Like I said, I spent 4.5, 5 years with the DA's office, so I was on the other side of the table doing this for a long time. Of course, now I've been doing criminal defense and protecting college students and their records, as they move forward for the last 15, 16 years. So we're real fortunate in Tuscaloosa, and I've been to Auburn a few times as well, and they're fortunate as there too. These city courts, our municipal court in Tuscaloosa and our district court, which is our county state court, have plenty of programs, what we call diversion programs. And these diversion programs are usually there for first-time offenders, people who've never really been in trouble before, to give them an opportunity, even if they did wrong, to have something dismissed or removed off their record. A lot of times those things will incorporate or have some kind of conditions such as community service work, letters of apologies. We've done those to officers in certain situations. Could even go over into some kind of alcohol and substance education. Luckily, we're moving forward to a lot of that being online instead of having to sit through Saturday classes. And then even some of it goes into drug and alcohol testing, and that could go for a certain period of time determined by the judge. But we're real fortunate to have those options. And in a lot of the cases I see, especially first-time offenders, able to negotiate those options pretty fast.
Well, and you raise an interesting issue that I was going to ask about, and that is dealing with officers. Do you have advice for college students that may be about to go to college or are at college now that could be watching this on how to deal with officers? Because to me, it seems like having some respect towards the officer is going to make your ultimate resolution a different resolution.
No doubt. Always have respect.
Yeah.
You can protect yourself and protect your rights, but always have respect. A lot of times we do see, we see good situations and bad situations. Anytime officers, and their presence is going to be out there, that's their job. And I try to tell the college students that come in, or when I go speak to the fraternities and the sororities, be mindful and be respectful. Don't be out there trying to draw attention to yourself, especially if you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. Right. But, for the most part, people understand that, and they do understand that officers they're going to make a report regardless. And that can be a good report or that could be a bad report for that individual.
And Josh, you mentioned about those diversion programs or second chance that some people get. But that's not a given. That's something that has to be earned, right?
Right. It's definitely an opportunity, and it's not always given. A lot of times, it kind of matters who's representing you. I do a lot of work with the cities and with the county there in Tuscaloosa and have for 20 years, so I'm able to kind of work not just the courtroom presence, but it's sometimes having to go to the officers. We've got a police chief in Tuscaloosa now. He likes to be out and about. A lot of guys are administrators. Our police chief likes to be out there and about, and sometimes he sees things I got to talk to him about in order to get those diversion opportunities. But you're right, it's a condition that's set out for the individual to succeed. Nobody's going to be there to force him to do it. It's got to be something that that person or that college kid wants to do.
When we come back, because I know we're about to get a break, I want to talk about DUI a little bit and kind of some of the trends that Josh may be seeing, and maybe give some free advice out related to DUI.
Yeah. We're pretty deep in this discussion as we're talking about college crimes, but there's still much more that we have to deal with, and also give you the opportunity to call one of the attorneys from Hollis, Wright, and Clay. That number, 1-844-LAW-TALK. If you don't know it by now, 1-844-LAW-TALK. You can reach someone on the other end of that. It's free, it's confidential, nobody has to know what you talk about. We'll take a break, we'll be back after this.
I'm attorney Bobby Bell with Hollis Wright Law Firm. In today's world, social media is all around us. It is common for many people to post on social media regarding their life and activities on a daily basis. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and similar social media are a great way to stay connected to others and to share your experiences and thoughts. Some seemingly innocent social media posts, however, can have devastating effects if you're involved in litigation, especially in a personal injury claim, a contested divorce, or a child custody battle. Courts regularly allow adverse parties access to the other side's social media accounts, allowing relevant posts to be presented as evidence. These rules have allowed social media to become a hotbed of information in the litigation world. In fact, we are seeing more and more preservation orders issued by courts requiring you to collect and save any and all social media activity. Therefore, it's advisable that even before there's litigation, lawyers should advise their clients that social media content may be discoverable. Here are a few helpful tips. 1. Do not post anything about the case. This includes posts regarding conversations or meetings with your attorneys, remarks about your injuries, negative remarks about the opposing party. Do not post anything you would not want read in open court to either a judge or jury. 2. Avoid new friend requests from people you do not know. Many law firms and insurance offices may attempt to have employees follow you on social media in an attempt to gain information. 3. Limit adding new photos, check-ins, photo tagging, etc. Seemingly innocent posts may be used against you. Regular check-ins at restaurants, parties, or other events with friends can cast doubt on any claims of loss of enjoyment of life, pain and suffering, or emotional distress, since you appear to be living life as usual. 4. Increase your privacy settings. Many social media sites frequently update and change their privacy settings. In the litigation context, it is possible you may have to preserve and present anything you posted. Therefore, we encourage you to be smart and careful when using social media. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. Thanks for watching The Attorneys.
Hollis Wright handles cases every day where a drunk driver causes an accident and injures someone. If you've been a victim of a drunk driving accident, give us a call for a free consultation. And remember, at Hollis Wright, your result matters.
I want to welcome you back to The Attorneys as we continue our conversation talking about college crimes with Josh Sword. Of course, Josh, we still have a little bit to deal with.
Yeah, and so one of the things when we were going out to break, I kind of teased the concept of DUI. I feel like from what I see on our side of the practice, on the civil side, that the number of DUIs are declining statewide. That's just what I see. I'm not saying that's what you see in college. But I associate that with several factors. What are you seeing? Do you think that that's accurate?
Yeah, I definitely. We, as in myself as a criminal defense attorney, and a pretty good one, but and a lot of my colleagues down there, we've definitely seen a dramatic drop off in the number of DUIs, DUI arrests, and things of that nature. We've seen a lot of reduction in the car accidents as a result of DUIs. For a long period of time before we had things come in that were other than driving home, there was a lot of folks leaving these bars and having car accidents. I've seen some that have taken out telephone poles going right down the strip at the University of Alabama. But, over the past few years, companies like Joyride golf carts, obviously with the income of Uber and the ability to do that on the app, I think has contributed greatly into minimizing the amount of people who are driving while intoxicated and going out. I mean, the bars are there.
Yeah.
Let's not ignore the elephant in the room. We've got a heck of a party scene at the University of Alabama. There's a heck of a party scene at Auburn University. And it used to be a big problem with DUIs and people driving drunk because there was no other way to get home. But with these alternative for transportation, such as Joyride golf carts and Uber, it's kind of funny because I see parents, and especially when they've driven and come to my office with a DUI, the parents are like, "I had money on your Uber. I do not understand why we're here with Mr. Swords." And so those alternatives are clearly there. Now, whether the will to use it or things happen, we'll still see those type cases. But it's definitely had a positive impact on cutting down the amount of DUIs that we've had.
And all those schools in Tuscaloosa, Stillman's down there as well, in addition to Alabama. But not only the DUIs and impaired driving, you're also dealing with expungements as well.
Yeah, expungements is kind of a new concept that has come along and evolved. Matter of fact, the state of Alabama legislature and Governor Ivey signed the 2021 Redeemer Act, which expanded expungement, put that together. But, expungement is something that helps because we've got college young folks, I hate calling them kids, but college people, college students who are over 21 that are still attending the University of Alabama. And, a lot of times, like we talked about youthful offender previously, you don't have that once you turn 21. Well, you can't drink till you're 21. Right. So you're not supposed to be drinking at the University of Alabama until you're 21, which they are. Right. And then after you're 21, you're drinking and things happen. What's going to happen to those? Well, luckily and fortunately, Alabama's passed expungement. We hadn't had it for a long time. And a person who's had their case dismissed, or even now some low-level misdemeanors, a person can have an attorney petition the circuit court, and if the judge deems that case worthy of expungement, it can receive somewhat of the same protections that a person who's under 21 gets at youthful offender. It's treated different. The case is actually sealed and the record is deemed destroyed for the purposes of the out-of-court record keeping. But it does give them the same opportunity that a person would have got if they granted youthful offender, even though at the time they weren't eligible for it.
So you agree you'd need a lawyer to do that. If you were going to try and go through the expungement process, trying to do that on your own is a mistake.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of filing fees, there's petitions that have to be done. We see enough of it in Tuscaloosa, and I handle enough of it, and of course the relationships I have with the judges and the prosecutors, they don't object. Usually we're kind of on the same page when it's filed and what's being filed. I've had some down in the coast that require a formal hearing. Yeah. And so it's nothing that you can just file. It's like Art said, it's not an automatic. Yeah. This is something that's going to be reviewed by prosecutors, reviewed by a judge, and can even lead to formal hearing to determine if it's going to be granted or not.
Real quickly, less than about 30 seconds left, let me just ask you this. Why is it important to choose a criminal defense lawyer that lives in Tuscaloosa if you get in trouble in Tuscaloosa?
Well, you want to have the relationships, and that's what, other than obviously doing what I do for a living, that's my number 2 thing is the relationships I've built. Playing football there at the University of Alabama, coming back and being a state prosecutor there with the Tuscaloosa County DA's office, and practicing law right downtown for 15 years, hanging out with all these college kids and being out with them on Saturdays and understanding what they're going through, but having the knowledge of what it takes to make bad things go away. And
this is your guy right here, Josh Swords.
Josh Swords, Josh Wright, Art Franklin, thanks so much for joining us on The Attorneys. Make sure you join us next time around.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.